Fani Willis did what no other DA has been willing to do: force Donald Trump to take a mug shot. Is it the beginning of the end of his invincibility? Did she simply outwit Donald Trump? Or were other prosecutors too afraid to assert their authority? Let's talk about it. You're watching my journal. I'm Steffanie Rivers. You might be watching on several platforms, so be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I host new videos, you'll be the first to know. So, District Attorney Fani Willis did what no other DA has dared to do. She filed charges against Donald Trump, then required him to take a mugshot, just like any other suspect booked at the Fulton County, Atlanta area jail. And since the 13-count indictment against Trump amounted to an alleged conspiracy to overturn the 2020 election with the help of at least 18 other people, all of them were required to turn themselves in, and they had to take mug shots too. So let's take a look at what this shady bunch looks like. So there's the mugshot, and it happened to come down. It didn't turn out that Donald Trump turned himself into the Fulton County jail until much later in the evening, so late that I was asking myself, is he even going to show up? But he did show up, and it happened around happy hour time. And so because it happened during the happy hour time, it became the highlight of happy hour for a bunch of people. Here's what happened.
Just a striking image too.
I don't know where those people were, but when it happened, that was the reaction that they gave. So it was as if Donald Trump thought that they were going to close down the photo booth and close down shop, and he was not going to have to take a mug shot. And so, yeah, they waited for you. That would be a no. So you would have thought that the team or these people in that bar had scored the winning point to win the Super Bowl or win the championship, because when really for many who cheered, it probably was because for the first time it seemed that justice was blind. That Trump, with all his perceived power and influence, had to face the consequences of his alleged criminal actions, just like a regular dude. And yes, the people who didn't have the scrotum to stand up to this 17-year-old child in a man's body ass are being held accountable too. That was just icing on the cake. So at least for now, a lot of us feel like it was worth the wait. So now we know the trial is a different matter. So while people are giddy over seeing Trump's mugshot, we can't forget that the person who did what nobody else was willing to do is Fulton County DA Fani Willis. So in addition to cheering for the judicial process in this case, everybody also needs to acknowledge that this Black woman not only filed RICO charges against Trump and his white-collar criminal crew, but she required all of them to turn their asses in and smile for the camera. So we know the criminal justice system is only as fair as the people in charge of it. And so the first three indictments against Trump, 34 counts in New York, 40 counts in Florida, 4 counts in DC, they said that prosecutors claimed that because those were federal charges, that no mugshot was required, is what they said. And I don't believe that. I think that prosecutors caved under the demands and the pressure of Trump to not suffer the humiliation of having to pose for the mugshot. He wants everybody else who he labels as a criminal to be shown no mercy. But now he understands what it means to have to go through that process. And I'm glad to see that happen at least. The charges in Georgia are said to be state level felony crimes. If you want to come up and leave me a comment, I'll be looking in the chat. But if not, that's okay too. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe so that when I post new videos, you'll be the first to know. And you can follow me on IG, Twitter, and Threads under at TCB Steff. So RICO charges sound about right. RICO charges most often are used to prosecute people involved with organized criminal activity, like mobsters, gang members, people doing organized crime type stuff. Judging from what we know by way of the recorded calls of Trump, RICO charges, they sound about right. If it was you or me, we no question would already have been charged, and who knows if we would have been given bond. So yeah, they got bond. I know a guy who sat at a barbecue laughing and talking, eating and drinking, talking about amongst the people who were there about robbing a bank. This happened a few years ago. And so he claims, the guy, because I know one of the guys that was in the conversation, he said they were doing it just in jest. They really didn't mean it to be serious because they were just bullshitting at a barbecue. But then he said a couple of weeks later, one of the guys at the barbecue actually went and tried to rob a bank. And so when that person got caught, that person told the people who were questioning him about, yeah, we were sitting around at the barbecue, and he started naming names. And before you know it, the law enforcement had went and scooped up all of those people that he named that were just sitting around talking about it, and they charged them with conspiracy, even though those people were not in on the actual attempt of robbing the bank. They served time. I think the person that I know served about 5 years. So, and there was no audio and there was no video evidence in that instance. So if they can just go off of somebody's word that they were just having a conversation, and they can put them in prison for 5 years for conspiracy, then this dude Trump and his cronies, where there's evidence of a recorded evidence, among other things, that show that they were conspiring to overturn an election, surely will, that's more evidence than some people had that got them locked up. So we'll have to see what happens in this case. So now the crime that the RICO charges, amongst all the others, but let's just focus on the RICO charges. That was in what I was talking about was happened in North Carolina a couple of years ago. And again, they weren't politicians or anything. So we'll have to see what happens with people who are on nationwide notable influence tier. We'll see what happens with them. But it will be hard to get 18 co-defendants to allow themselves to put Trump's well-being above their own. When doing so, will put them in a line of doing hard time in a state prison. So especially after Trump already said that when it comes to paying for their criminal defense legal bills, he ain't got it. So they've already said that they've already been told they're on their own as far as defending themselves against all these charges. Harrison Floyd, let me put up the picture again. Harrison Floyd is there are two black people who were caught up in these charges with Trump. And so Harrison Floyd is the black guy who is, where is he? Over there on the right, third one down from the top. And then the person in the corner, the black woman. So there's two black people involved in these charges. The black guy, Harrison Floyd, I think I said his name is. Let me go back. He is Harrison Floyd. Yeah, he's of the group Black Voices for Trump. He was the only person to not negotiate his bond before showing up at the court at the jailhouse. So as of tomorrow, as of Monday, he's still in jail, okay? Because they don't have court on the weekends, all right? Unless you're in New York City or something. This ain't New York, it's Georgia, okay? So I don't know everything about running a business, but I do know if you're going to run a business, whether it's profit or non-profit, there's two people you want to be on 24-hour call, standby. That's an attorney and an accountant. Okay, so the fact that this guy, Harrison Floyd, turned up to turn himself in on all these criminal charges and he had not negotiated his bond before going, that's not smart at all. Even I know you don't show up to that without an attorney. And if he had an attorney, he needs to fire that attorney, because no good attorney will let you show up and not have already prearranged your bond like all the other 17 people did. Did they not get the memo about negotiating your bond before you show up? Like, everybody else knew. Why didn't this dude know? And that's why he's still sitting in jail, because you made the wrong move in the first place to be conspiring to do something that was illegal with a whole bunch of other people. And now you didn't even prepare for your defense, even though you knew that you were getting charged. It just sounds like ridiculously dumb. But at any rate, we'll see what happens to this guy. Trump and the 17 other co-defendants, however, they had enough sense to negotiate before they turned themselves in. And if convicted of state charges, Trump won't be able to pardon them or to pardon himself. So that's why they're trying to get it turned over to federal court, because if it's in federal court and he is re-elected to be president, he can pardon them and pardon himself. So, but in the meantime, he's already cut them off, just like he did the people who claimed that Trump instigated them to storm the Capitol on January 6, 2021. So since Willis filed charges, now Republicans on Capitol Hill are investigating Willis. For what? For doing her job. That's what y'all investigating her for filing charges against a thug and his thugettes. That's what they're investigating her for. Emoji. I know most people think that federal charges are more serious than state charges, but again, DAs can find a way to file charges if they want to. They can ask for no bond, or they can set a high bond if they want to. They have the power to make those decisions. So Fani Willis decided to do what nobody else had the guts to do, and she put RICO charges on Trump, and she made him smile for the camera. So at least for this coming week, she is a hero of a lot of people. I showed you that t-shirt at the beginning of the video. They've got Black Women Make America Great Again and Fani Willis Fan Club t-shirts, okay? And so a lot of people are also making t-shirts out of Trump's mug shot. And some said they're doing it and then helping to raise money off of that for his political campaign. So I thought about buying a t-shirt, but then I'm like, I don't know where the money's going to, so I will just only advertise my own company. So, and a few other organizations I have on my Our Tribe t-shirt today. Wore that while I was in DC over the weekend. So that's another story, and I'll tell you about that later. So that leads me to believe that some of these prosecutors, though, they're holding back on holding Trump accountable to the fullest extent of the law. They're not going all in like they could. But of course, if it was somebody else, somebody who looked like somebody else, then they would go all in. So clearly, again, the law is only as what's the word I'm looking for? Only as effective as the people in charge of it. So although nobody officially has made the connection between the shooting of the Black people at the dollar store in Jacksonville, Florida, over the weekend by the white supremacists who claim to hate Black people, the closer we get to trial of Trump and all these people, and the closer we get to possible convictions, I believe that we will see more of this activity going on. So, as always, don't wait until something happens before you start getting ready. You should already be ready, already have your plan of action for you and your family. So, while we support people who have the guts to stand up to white collar criminals like Donald Trump and his shady bunch, keep in mind that some people don't like it, and they are going to be trying to punish people who they think are the reason for holding somebody accountable, even though all of the, how many is that? It was 30 and then 40, that's 71, and then 4, that's 75 counts, and then that's 13, that's 80, 71, 81, that's about 83, 84 counts, criminal counts. Okay, so he can't plead all of that down. So chances are, with all of that's facing him, he will be spending some time behind bars. So we'll see what happens. That's not my fault that he broke the law. That's his fault that he broke the law. But still, some people will want to hold you accountable for it. And I'm going to throw my Cash App up here because I see people throwing their Cash Apps up. So if you want to bless me, September is my birthday month. So let's make it about my birthday. September is my birthday month. So if you want to send me a birthday gift via Cash App, I will be accepting those. So to find out more about the things that I care about, you can go to eurweb.com. Thank you so much and have a